Welcome back to Raising Real Estate Standards. We're excited to bring to you our second season. This is the first episode of the second season. Most podcasts do not make it this far, and we're excited. We've gone down and explored a lot of topics, and still have a lot to uncover. I'm Mark, and I'm here with Brian.
Yep.
And we're excited today on our second season, first episode, to bring a special guest with us. Today we welcome Wayne Fredrick with See the Field Consulting. Wayne is a real estate guru, been in the business for quite some time. Started in 1985 and has served in a plethora of roles, from a top producing agent to a real estate brokerage owner to the leader of a region of a major franchise brand, and is now heading up a consulting company where he's helping real estate agents and brokerages grow their business. Welcome, Wayne. Thanks for coming.
Mark, thank you very much. Brian, good to see you, man.
You as well.
So, wow, what an introduction. You worked guru and plethora.
I did. Big words.
That's unheard of. Wow. Well done, my friend. Well done. Let me put a little bit more on it without boring people. Got a real estate business in 85, so I guess I'm going on what would that be, at my 36th year?
I was thinking 85, you started when you were 18 by looking at you.
I started when I was 22.
There you go.
I believe, 22, 23. And I didn't really mean to get in real estate, got in by default. Like a lot of people do. The difference was, this was my first career. Real estate has been my only career. I was sweeping out warehouses at 5. My dad was a real estate developer, so I've always been around dirt and building and things like that. Didn't really intend to get into sales at all. Had gone to college on a golf scholarship, and was going to be a golf pro. And then realized I'd work a lot of hours and make no money, so I didn't want to do that. I was going to go in business with my father, and unbeknownst to me, right when I graduated from college, he sold out. And so I was left with, gee, what do you do now? And I got my real estate license, floundered for 4 years. And then about 4 years in, my company, my independent company, affiliated with RE/MAX. And my wife was trying to get me to quit the industry at that time, because I was making no money, but I was working a lot of hours, like we still to this day, 30 years later, see a lot of realtors do. And I went to a couple of meetings, and all of a sudden I got exposed to some national level ideas and national level training. And I looked at my wife and I said, just give me 12 months. Let me see if I can figure this out. Long story short, I did figure it out. Income went up about 400% in a year at 27. Then I decided I had a team before teams were a thing, and then went into the ownership of an office and grew that office, then became regional director in 2008 based on the work that we had done. I live in Springfield, Missouri, by the way. Based on the work that we had done in the office, I got the opportunity to run the region, and did that which was the Mid-States Dixie region, a big boot out of the center of the country. And then in 2014, I decided that I really wanted to get back on my own again, and because I had thoughts, I had ideas, and I really enjoyed working with brokers and team leaders, and so I started a company called See the Field, and that comes from a movie by Stephen Pressfield, The Legend of Bagger Vance, where there's a scene in there where Will Smith looks at Matt Damon and says, "I think it's time for you to see the field," and that has been my work. Really always was trying to figure out how do you wake up every day and enjoy what you do so that you never want to stop doing it. Awesome. And I've been very lucky. I've been very blessed. Work with brokers and team leaders all over the country, and just keep trying to help people get in their sweet spots a little bit. So that's awesome. What I do.
Yeah, we're so very blessed that you work with us, and we appreciate all you do.
Absolutely. You're on the clock right now as we speak.
That's not true. You know yeah, you guys are fun because you take action, right?
That's right.
And this coaching thing can turn into Groundhog Day. if people don't take action on the things that we talk about. It's like, why are we still stuck here? We're not doing anything. And I think that's symptomatic of the industry in general. So many times people are like, well, teach me something new, and I'm like, well, you haven't even done the baseline, what we talked about. You don't get to learn new stuff till you've mastered for lack of a better word, the basics.
Absolutely.
But you guys take action. That's why it's so fun. It's cool.
And in conversations that we've had with agents, and had it this week with a group of agents, and in the market that we're in, and we'll kind of go down that road in just a minute. But that's exactly right. It's getting back to basics. There are so many distractions in our world, whether it be coming from different ideas, different ways to make money, go do this, go do that. There's so many shiny object distractions. And at the end of the day, those that are blocking and tackling, those that are doing the basics really well, better than anybody else, are the ones that are making 10, 20 times those that are chasing that shiny object.
It's 100% accurate. I had a call yesterday with one of my clients, and she said, my agents are saying, I feel like I've got the basics of this thing down. Now I need 2.0. And I'm like, well, tell me before we go down this route, what are we talking about? And she said the agents pretty well feel like they have the ability to convert the leads. Now they have to figure out what's the best strategy for them to go get more, right? And so we went down that path. And there's about 45 different ways as a real estate agent for you to generate business. But until you have the core ability to convert a lead, I've always felt like lead conversion is the biggest issue in the industry. If you have a tremendous number of leads coming in, you have to have the skill set of being able to sort through those leads, because you don't have time to waste with somebody that's not going to do anything. And if you don't have very many leads, you can't afford to miss a good one. So either way, it's lead conversion. But Mark, to your point about, shiny objects and all that, it's not sexy to talk about how do you convert leads, because it's scripts, it's dialogues, it's materials. As I've always said, it doesn't sell a lot of books and tapes at the back of the room. It's not cool, but it's where the money is. And that's not just in real estate, that's just life in general. Once you have the basics down, now let's fire up the bombers and let's get as many leads as we can or whatever. But I see so many agents trying to focus on getting more leads and getting more this. And then when you call them or you talk to them, there's just not a lot there.
Yeah.
And that's been a big shift that I've seen happen in the industry over the last couple of years. And I know we've talked about this before, that the old realtor model was get a lead and kind of drip on them over time and try to build a relationship. And the new model is, if you don't knock my socks off the first time I talk to you, I'm moving on to somebody else. And so the conversion game has changed a little bit, in that you have to be really spot on at the very beginning of the deal.
Do you think the conversion game has changed a bit because the leads are quite a bit colder than they have been in the past?
No, I don't. And here's why. We were bad at converting leads for as long as I've been in this business. We didn't return phone calls when I first got into the 1980s. We could only talk about the house that you called about maybe back in the day. Then email came in. And everybody was like, I can't believe agents don't return emails. And I'm like, well, they never return phone calls. Why do you think they'd return emails? and so the way I frame everything, with being cold, right? I think the only difference is today, I don't think the consumer has really moved that much in their actual process of buying or selling a home. I think the vehicles in which they might find an agent have moved. But I don't think the process of buying or selling has really changed. I think the difference is we can see them early on in the transaction now, and we don't know what to do with them. What I've always said to people is, when the whole internet thing first started happening, people were like, well, you got to understand there's an incubation period. consumers are different now. And I'm like, well, no, they're not. If you would have gone to a Walmart and stood by a Homes magazine rack 30 years ago, and just every person that came up and grabbed a Homes magazine, you said, you want to buy a house, you want to buy a house, you want to buy a house, you want to buy a house. People are like, leave me alone. I just want some information on houses, or my wife's shopping and I'm bored. And we haven't done a really great job as an industry of connecting those dots. So I think that, we know the explosion in supposed leads has been just crazy, right? What is it? 10 years ago, there were 4.5 million online leads and 4.6 million transactions. Now we're going to have what I think the year ended maybe just north or south of 6 million closed transactions in the U.S. 100 million leads. So, I mean, not everything's a lead, and that's the hard part, is you got to be able to sort through those. And that's still, as I always say, that's still nose to nose, chin to chin, face to face, voice to voice. That's where this industry still is, and for everybody in it, I certainly hope we stay there. Although there's a lot of money being played to try to make that irrelevant.
Mm-hmm. Yep, no question. And, one of the things that we've delved down and talked about it on a number of occasions, talk about leads, and there's different types of leads. There's the the ones you talked about, the cold leads that you don't know. It's a name and a phone number. Let's just
Right.
maybe an email address, and that's about all you have. But then there's the people that you've done business with, your past sphere of influence. Those leads, I don't even like to use the word. Those relationships are the ones that in my experience, are the ones that are not being paid close enough attention to, and not enough time and energy developed to fostering those. And I think the one of the words that you've used that I've kind of coined as well is defending your space, defending your people, and putting in those types of systems and things to really leverage the past group. And even if you're new, the people and trust that on a weekend would like to hang out with you.
Yeah, it's to me, it's the starting point for everybody in the industry. But what I've now realized is it's a small business issue. It's not really a real estate agent issue as such. It's just a small business issue. Small businesses spend disproportionate amounts of time, energy, and effort trying to grow, right? Trying to find new people. And one of the I posted on Facebook not that long ago, but I really believe it, that, stop talking about trying to scale. Focus on value. And if you focus on value, your business is going to organically scale. It just has to, because you're really good at what you do. And what I always try to get everybody to do on the agent side is, let's make sure we're maximizing those relationships first before we go out and start chasing all this new stuff. I have a team that I work with, and they saw a 46% increase in their business last year. Okay. Now, it wasn't like they went from, 4 deals to 8 deals. They went from 200 and some odd deals to 386. But of that growth, 80% of that growth was a refocus on past client systems for the entire team.
It seems
it was huge. It was a huge revenue producer.
It seems like, Wayne, the instant gratification mindset. I'm not going to talk about an age group here, but the instant gratification mindset seems to be implementing itself into the business. And therefore, kind of what you're talking about, it's almost like you really need to pour in to these people. That's where your business is going to come from.
If you're good at what you do, ultimately you will get to the referral side of the equation. Okay. If you're not good at what you do, as I've always said, your buddies will still use you, but they're not going to tell their friends to use you. So to me, it's about, number one, maximizing those relationships with people. And then number two, it's about making sure that you're a really great practitioner. You're a true professional, as we say. And if you do that and you stay in flow with people, your business is just going to grow. I mean, it just is. And what I'm seeing, honestly, is a lot of this other stuff really isn't working. But we're not good as an industry at tracking our numbers. and we're doing more business, and I've seen this happen forever. It's like, oh, I'm doing more business and I've got this big play over here. I must be doing more business because of this play. And then when you look behind the curtain and you really get somebody to slow down and say, where'd your business come from? Your business is growing in an area that you weren't even focused on. And 9 times out of 10, honestly, it's past clients. You know, I got this sexy TikTok thing I'm doing right now. My business is going off. So it must be because of TikTok. Now, it's to date, it rarely is. It rarely is.
So talk about tracking for a second, because this comes up with me all the time. So when I'm meeting with some of our agents here, one of the big things is, hey, let's start to track. Let's really start to get into your business and focus on where it is your business is coming from and how you can better your business based on this new information, this data that you have.
Right.
The thing that comes up every time, I don't have time to do this. Walk us through that a little bit.
That is the that's kind of baked into the cake, right? Because what makes us great salespeople makes us not really track anything. Great salespeople have a certain walk and talk, right? And they are shoot from the hip kind of people, ready, fire, aim, if you will. And they have time to track it. It's just not natural for them to get into the weeds and do the arithmetic. So we have to try to break it down for people as simply as we possibly can. Agents, let's be honest, most agents don't run a P&L. They don't know how much money they've made for the year. They always try to figure that out right before tax time. And those are not business. That's not what a business person does. And yet every realtor wants to tell you, oh, I'm my own business. Well, then act like it.
Yeah.
Right. Then act like it. And so to me, it was always really simple. Whenever I got a piece of business, I just said, well, where'd that start? And I, take out a piece of notebook paper and write down, oh, that came from a referral. And just write referral on a piece of notebook paper in a binder. I think everybody ought to have a binder, right? I think everybody ought to have a little notebook they carry with them all the time. And just put a hash mark. That's all you got to do. And then the next time you get somebody off of an open house and you sell them something, and write open house and put a hash mark. And by the end of the year, you'll see where your business came from. And then that helps us, as we know, redirect where our spends are. And so it's really cool for me when the people that I get to work with, when they can tell me. I had a client yesterday. He goes, I was thinking about dropping my Zillow play. He goes, until I did the math. And he said, I spent $7,000 and I made $48,000. I said, well, I believe I'd keep doing that then. Right. But so many people, and that's pretty simple tracking.
Yeah.
So many people just don't do it.
I think, and I think when you a lot of times when you're looking at talking about the Zillow, you don't know, you assume, but I know that when we have sat and talked with a lot of folks that when they even just thinking about where their business came from, they look and 80% comes from past clients and sphere of influence. We went down that road, and yet when you look at their budget, their marketing budget, their spend budget, it's about 1% of what they spent in their business is catering to their sphere of influence. Like, okay, maybe we put a little more dollars, time, energy, and effort over there and see what the ROI could be if you actually focused on that group of people.
Yeah, I refer to that as the bird of paradise phenomenon. In that, even if you don't stay in contact with your people, right? So it all pivots on be good, be nice, stay in touch.
Yep.
Even if you don't stay in touch, the bird of paradise will still come and flop around on your desk just often enough via referral that you don't think you really need to maximize those relationships. And I think that's where we have to get really focused, because there's so much money being played in this industry right now to disrupt it and to get between agents and their clients. And let's be honest, it's being effective. There would be no Zillow if agents had always been, for the last 20 years, fantastic at staying in touch with past clients.
Absolutely.
Your clients would not default to a Zillow or to any online play. You would be their trusted advisor. But that takes focus. It's not sexy. It's playing the long game, which we don't do as realtors. We get quick hits, thousands of dollars of money, and then we go on and try to find someone else. To me, the key to everyone's business is twofold. One, it's figuring out, as I said earlier, there's about 45 different ways for you to generate business. If you survey the top producers, they're only doing 2 or 3 of them. They're not chasing a bunch of different things. They're going very deeply in a couple of parts of the business. And I think the number one thing for everybody that might be listening to this is, once and for all, figure out which parts of this business you enjoy and work on getting really good at that, because that's how you'll drive your business. And that's been a theme for my life for a long time. I was in a mentoring deal with a guy named Bob Proctor back in '96. And for a year, he called me every Tuesday and said, "What do you want?" That was all he said. And I would tell him all the things that I wanted. And he goes, "Why don't you go do it? Why don't you go do it that way, if that's what you want?" And we battled it out for a long time. And I finally told him that, he's like, "If time and money weren't the issue, what would you do?" I said, "Well, if time and money weren't the issue, I'd do this, this, and this." And he said, "Why don't you go do it?" And it really stuck with me. And then that kind of framework for life, if you will, I just now know that that's the way that life works. I've had it validated to me a number of different ways, either in books that I've read, off the cuff conversations I've had. I have a friend / mentor by the name of Jack Stack, and he was just in a magazine here in Springfield. His $100 million investment plan over the next 10 years. He is like Mr. Business where I live. He's got 12 different companies. It's a fantastic, unbelievable story. But we were having lunch, and he goes, "Wayne," he goes, "I don't know a lot, but I know this." He goes, "Whatever it is you really always wanted to do, go do that, because you'll be great at it." And he goes, "I mean, if you always wanted to be a dentist at 50 years old, go back and be a dentist, because you'll be a great dentist." He goes, "That's really all I know. I love doing what I do." And I happened to sit down. We had a joint event together not too long ago, and he and I sat down and chatted for about 30 minutes. And I said, "Retirement?" He goes, "Nah." He's 77.
Wow.
Now, he doesn't look 77, number one. And I believe that's because he's doing what he enjoys. And I think that's the key to it, right? In our industry, though, what we do is we see somebody down the hallway doing something. Well, I'm going to try that. I'm going to try this. And to me, that's where brokerage affiliation, like being, having brokers that'll really sit down with me and we'll talk about how you're going to drive your business. I think that's just massive.
That's what's missing in a majority of agents' worlds right now, because of what is being sold or trickled in front of them is go out and go chase these things that are figments that may or may not materialize in 10 to 15 years. Whereas if they had just focused and honed in on their business of staying laser focused of helping people buy and sell real estate, they could have easily made enough money to do all those other shiny things in a massive fashion versus in a small little trickled fashion.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in this industry, the people that I know that have built major long-term wealth, they didn't find great deals for people. They bought them themselves.
That's right.
And I can guarantee you that strategy 100% works and always has. And the rest of this stuff will work for some. But it's not going to work for everybody just because you get in on the tail end of it and it sounded really good. And I know people that have made, and I won't go down any real rabbit holes here, but I know people that have made a lot of money in various things because they were one of the early people.
Yep.
I don't know of a time when, real estate's a very interesting thing from a long-term investment standpoint. I've got a buddy that he had and for those of you that are young that might be listening to this, I'll just tell you what this cat's strategy was. He wanted to retire at 50 and he was 20 and he had his real estate license. And he calculated that if he owned 30 properties free and clear by the time he was 50, he could retire. So he bought a rental house at 20 years old and put it on a 30-year note. He bought another one at 21 years old and put it on a 29-year note, another one at 22, and he kept selling property and he kept doing it. He now owns, I don't know that he even knows how many he owns, because he said, then the thing flywheeled on me at some point, right? But we were laughing about it the other day, and some younger agent looked at him and said, I just don't think you can buy things in this market, and I don't think it's a good long-term investment. And he goes, oh yeah, I know. He goes, I remember my second rental house, I paid $28,500 for it. And he said the agent that was the listing agent called my mom and said, I think John has horribly overpaid for this house. The math will never work. And he goes, I said, you still own it, don't you? And he goes, oh yeah. He said, I still own it. Right. So real estate, like they always say, we're not making more dirt. Right.
That's right.
I heard a piece one time that one of my investment mentors said, you can never lose on a real estate deal as long as time is on your side.
That's right.
As long as you don't sell it. Yep.
That's exactly right. Yeah. That's one of my favorite little mantras was, so in Springfield is where Bass Pro Shops was founded, right? So Johnny Morris, Bass Pro Shop. His dad, John A's mantra was, I don't need to own every piece of property. I just need to own the piece of property that's next to the piece of property I own. So his goal was, and he never sold anything. To this day, the Morris family doesn't sell. And it's an amazing, just again, playing the long game. And we just, to me, that's one of the biggest mentalities of this thing for agents is, are you playing the long game or are you jumping in, trying to make some fast money until you go off to your next shiny object thing? Those people that just sit there, keep their head down and do the right things, back to the basics, they win every time. They win every time.
Absolutely. Well, Wayne, I know we're butting up against a little bit of time here. We've unpacked a little bit. We've scratched the surface of a lot. Unpacked a plethora of things, as we said. But we really appreciate you coming on. You are a wealth of information. You are a true motivator for Brian and myself on a day-to-day basis. The more people we can introduce to you, it betters our industry, betters our community that we're in. And would love to have you back again to kind of take a deep dive into some micro topics and get your take on things. But we really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who has listened in. It's been a fantastic first season. We're excited about season 2 for Raising Real Estate Standards. As Wayne has mentioned, go deep. Do the basics right, and massive success will soon follow.
Yeah, just always remember, there's always room for talented people in real estate. All you got to do is get in there, spread your wings out a little bit, and weirdly, the marketplace gets out of your way. And it's like, oh, where'd they come from? And the beautiful part of our industry, regardless of which faction of it you're in, the beautiful part of it is it's unlimited income. It really, really is. You can do whatever you want to do. And the people that you see that you aspire to be like, all they did was the basics in just a little bit different way and in a leveraged way. So, guys, I appreciate the time. Thank you for allowing me to come on with you.
Yeah, man. Before we get out of here, Wayne, you need to plug your Wednesdays with Wayne program.
Oh. Okay. So, yeah, we have a program called Wednesdays with Wayne. Where we go onto a webinar format live every 2 weeks, and we cover the issues of being a real estate agent. And it can be anything from lead generation to listing presentations, buyer presentations, past client systems, where the industry is. We cover we got some basic things that we think are important, and then we also cover whatever the current topics are. One of the things that we talked about was changing your dialogue when you got the initial phone call from a seller, because they were asking a different set of questions, and we need to make sure our dialogue matched up. So if you're interested in checking out Wednesdays with Wayne at all, just go to WayneFredrick.com, click on the Wednesdays with Wayne link, and you can take a look at it.
Thanks, buddy. We appreciate everything you do for us.
You bet, man.
Take care.
Appreciate it. Have a good day. Bye-bye.